say that again.
You about through?
Yeah, for now. In a day or so, I may begin to understand what Brenner's doing. Thank you. Oh, hand me Brenner's worksheet and formula breakdown there.
Steve? What in the world is this? Miller?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else was in here with Colonel Austin today?
No, sir, not until you came in.
Thank you. I'm going to have to explain to the secretary that somebody walked into this guarded room, removed a top-secret document, replaced it with a blank piece of paper, walked out, and you didn't notice anything. You've been temporarily suspended.
Well, what about the lab report on that blank piece of paper?
Relax, pal. It'll take a little while before we get the lab tests back.
Well, meanwhile, we're just sitting around.
Nobody's sitting around.
Look, I want to leave for Santa Monica. I want to talk to Dr. Brenner.
Dr. Brenner is on his way to Washington. He should arrive within the hour.
You mean the Board of Inquiry actually thinks I stole that piece of paper?
You were searched, Steve, and nobody found the paper on you. Nobody can accuse you of anything.
Which means they think I did it, but they just can't figure out how.
That's the end of the show, folks.
Are you working for drinks these days?
Hey, Steve, how are you? Sit down. How'd you find me here?
I checked the theater across the street. They said you spent most of your time between shows here.
Well, I haven't bought a drink in 5 years. This bar's sort of my road company. I try out all my new bits here.
Well, what's the latest?
Well, nothing as big as your trick. I'll never walk on the moon.
Yeah, I wish I'd have stayed there.
Yeah, I heard about your problem. Newspapers play it up pretty big. Astronaut under suspicion of espionage. What can I do for you?
Well, you can tell me how somebody can steal a file right out from under my nose without coming into the room.
Probably 100 different ways.
Oscar's got a psychic working on it. He figures if I didn't do it, there's got to be some unnatural forces at work.
Unnatural forces? I make an elephant disappear right on stage. Nobody thinks that's unnatural. Pick a card.
Anything?
The paper wasn't substituted. You see, this is the original file, and we were able to raise the latent image on it.
Oh, that's great, Bill. Just great.
At least you know Colonel Austin didn't permit the file to leave the security room.
But who would want to erase the ink? What good would it do them anyway?
Watch the coin, Steve. You see, most magic is based on misdirection.
Yeah, but I was alone in the room.
Did the guard bring you into the room originally?
Yes,
And wasn't Oscar in the room with you also?
of course.
Well, there you are. There's 2 other people that were in the room you were supposed to be alone in.
Hey, is anybody in here named Austin?
It's funny, I didn't even know myself I was coming here. Hello.
Steve, we got the lab reports.
How'd you know where I was?
Never mind about that.
You've been having me followed. I really am in trouble.
Now, I'm calling to tell you that the paper with Brenner's formula on it never left the room. Somehow, the ink was removed.
Oscar, I gotta talk to Dr. Brenner. Where can I find him?
I'm sorry, Steve. After what's happened, that information is classified.
Thanks. Call me again when you got some more good news. Al, I was wrong. file wasn't stolen from the room. The ink was stolen from the paper.
And now everyone is convinced the spirit world is at work.
Well, what else are they gonna think? Either that or I did it.
Steve, see that 5? Watch the center pip. See, that's how someone made that ink disappear. It was a trick. Everything's a trick. Now, what can I do for you?
I've got to get Oscar to tell me where I can find a man named Brenner.
Excuse me, Mr. Goldman. I'm looking for Colonel Steve Austin. I'm an old friend of his.
Oh, well, if you leave your name and phone number with my secretary, I'll have Colonel Austin call you.
Terribly warm in here, isn't it, Mr. Goldman?
I hadn't noticed. Oh, excuse me. You again. My office is in that direction.
Yeah, I realize that, sir, but, you know, we spoke of the heat,
Yes.
and suddenly I got very thirsty. Suggestion is a powerful force. Don't you agree, Mr. Goldman?
Did you find out anything?
Yeah.
He didn't get you on.
You kidding? You know I do the best pickpocket act in show business. Of course, I had to do it to him twice. Second time I returned the pad. Dr. Brenner is at the OSI Elmville facility.
Thanks.
That's nonsense, and you know it.
Dr. Brenner.
I don't like machines telling me something can't be done.
Dr. Brenner.
So who are you? And how did you get in here?
I'm Steve Austin.
Oh, yes. Yes, I read about you. Pardon me.
Sorry to bother you, Dr. Brenner. We just wanted to make sure that you were all right.
Why wouldn't I be?
Well, we feel that someone might have slipped past our security tonight. Have you seen or heard anyone?
I appreciate your concern, but I gave strict orders not to be disturbed. And that applies both to guards and intruders. It'll take them a while to figure that out.
Thanks for not telling him.
Well, I owe you that much. I somehow feel my work is more or less the cause of your troubles.
Well, just what is your work, Dr. Brenner?
Simple biochemistry. I'm working on a process to slow down the aging of cells.
Well, have you been successful?
Very close. In about 50 years, we'll be able to extend the life cycle of the human animal to between 120 and 150 years.
I thought you said you were close.
Colonel Austin, you're a man of action. You're used to results now.
What I don't understand is why all the security around a process that won't be effective for half a century.
My lab in Santa Monica was broken into twice, and my early notes were stolen. Other strange things have happened, so the OSI recalled me to Washington for a debriefing.
Have you brought your worksheets with you?
They're back in Santa Monica. But they're in my private code. They'd be useless to anyone else.
Dr. Brenner, you understand what trouble I'm in. I'd like your permission to check out your lab carefully.
Certainly, Colonel Austin. I have the keys here somewhere. You keep hearing about absent-minded professors? Well, I grant you the freedom of my laboratory. And from what I've seen, you obviously don't worry too much about keys.
Take the napkin, tear it up to shreds, like this, all right? Roll them all up in a ball. Okay? Now you blow. Very good. Now watch. Don't ever tell anybody how you did that. Did you get a chance to talk to Brenner?
Leaving for California to check out his lab. I thought maybe...
No, I'm not gonna go with you. If you find anything that needs any explanation, feel free to call me.
Thanks.
Steve, remember, everything has a perfectly natural explanation.
Hey, you up there. What do you think you're doing?
I lost my keys.
This your house?
Of course.
What's your name?
Brenner? Dr. Arnold Brenner. I live here.
You got identification?
Naturally.
Throw it down.
I don't know if I can if I let go with one hand.
I say throw it down.
I'm sorry.
You sure gonna be.
It's okay, I'll get it.
Hold it! Just hold it right there. Where's Brenner?
I told you I am Dr. Brenner.
I'm gonna ask you again, Colonel Austin. Where's Brenner? Maybe you better come down.
I don't know if I can. I'm starting to get a little dizzy.
Do your best. If you fall, I'll catch you.
Hey, mister, will you get my ball for me?
Come down, Colonel Austin. But I'll bring you down like a partridge. Come on. He did it. He did it.
To see Madame Marca.
Someone in trouble.
Madame Marca never sends away a person in trouble. Enter.
Madam Marca?
What is it you want? To contact a loved one? To know the future? Advice on a job?
Well, I'm not sure why I came. If I weren't so desperate.
You don't have to tell me. Won't you please sit down?
I think I made a mistake. Sorry to have bothered you.
I didn't say I couldn't be of any help. I see you are an intelligent man. And I apologize for the gaudy show.
Thanks for not wasting my time. My problems are real, they're not emotional. And they can't be solved by electrical or psychological tricks.
Forgive me for the halo trick. It's unfortunate, but the real thing is rarely impressive. And I occasionally resort to phony trappings to impress those who find things like auras necessary. Colonel Austin.
Okay, so you know my name. But I'm not completely unknown. My picture has been in the papers.
You're in trouble with your government. Some papers entrusted to you have disappeared.
Well, that's been in the papers too, Madam Marca. I think you're gonna have to do a little better than that.
I'm not auditioning for you, Colonel Austin. I do not do card tricks. Now, do you want my help? Or don't you?
Thanks anyway.
That's about what happened to you, isn't it, Colonel Austin? You are thinking, now how did she know where I was?
How did you know?
I could be a mind reader. Or I could have followed you. I see they've stolen Dr. Brenner's notes.
They?
Did I say they?
Yes. Why didn't you say he or she?
I don't know. I get a feeling of two somehow. But not really two. More like one.
Or maybe three. On the other hand, it could be four.
I'm sorry, Colonel Austin. I really am trying to help you. But something is very muddy here. I get a feeling of children. But it isn't children.
Well, you can't miss, can you? It's either one or more than one. It's either children or adults.
I know it seems vague, but somehow what I'm telling you does have a definite meaning.
Thank you. I realize you're doing your best.
Wait. You've been here before, earlier today.
Did you follow me before? Or have you been talking to the lady next door?
No, please. What happened?
I was chased away by a man with a gun.
But that's not quite true. You chased him away. Do you know who he was?
I thought maybe you could tell me that.
Perhaps I can help you with that. Come with me. Was it parked here?
Judging from the skid marks, I'd say yes.
I get nothing about a car. No color, no model. I get a word. No, a name. Pearl. It means nothing to me either.
All right, old chum. Since I'm here, we might as well go through the motions.
All right, she said two, but not really two.
Yeah.
One. She said she had the feeling of children, but not really children.
And the big goon with the gun, he's supposed to be Pearl?
Well, what does it mean to you?
It's all rubbish, Steve.
All right, what if it weren't rubbish? I mean, how would you interpret it? What would it mean to you?
I used to do an act like that.
I know.
Now, the two persons who are really one, I'd say that'd be twins.
Well, it's something.
Steve, this is a game we're playing. Don't try and make so much out of it.
The children who are really adults? And what about Pearl?
Pearl's a girl's name. It's also kind of a gem. Over the different spelling, it's a term used in knitting. It's also the word used for the sound of rippling water. Let's get back to the twins. Working on the basis that Madame Mark is not talking through her turban, I've got a friend at the university that's a leading expert on twins. I'll drop in on her. Meanwhile, why don't you go back to the theater and see if you can get Madame Mark to come up with anything more on Pearl.
All right. Take my car. It's across the street. The theater's just down the road there. I'll meet you back here at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Wagner. May I help you?
Well, I don't know. You see, I was given this address, 2400, but something seems wrong. Could you tell me who lives here?
Why, I do, young man.
Do you live here alone?
Oh, mercy, no. I have my 2 little children. Well, my grandchildren, actually.
The man who drove up in that car, he looked familiar. Does he live here, too?
Oh, mercy, no. He works for the children.
You mean the children hired him?
That's right.
To do what?
Goodness knows. The little dears are always up to something.
Well, this must be the right house. You mind if I had a little talk with the children?
Why, I think that would be fine. Little Davy and Margaret don't get many visitors. They don't seem to play with the children in this block anymore.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. To that poor young man.
It's all right, Mrs. Wagner. I think a touch of heat. I'll just take him inside. He'll be all right, huh?
Tell me, Dr. Burns, do you really go for all this mumbo jumbo? Or is it just that your research grant is too high to turn down?
Call it.
Star.
Star it is. You see, even you may have clairvoyant powers.
Lucky guess.
Like to try more?
Square. Circle. Square. Wavy line. Cross. Another star. Shall I go on?
That's unbelievable. You still insist that there's nothing to ESP.
7 lucky guesses.
Do you know what the odds are against you getting 7 in a row like that?
Dr. Burns, when you turned around a moment ago and let me get my hands on the deck, the odds dropped considerably.
Ooh.
Wait a minute. A dispassionate scientist does not hurl a pack of cards in the face of a subject.
I don't care what you say. You are a mind reader.
Who are you, Colonel Austin?
You have my driver's license.
That's not what we meant.
Why were you at Dr. Brenner's, and why did you come here?
Where is Dr. Brenner?
I don't know. Why do you want him?
We have his notes, but they're in code. We need Dr. Brenner to translate them, and we need you to bring him to us.
Afraid I can't do that.
We mean him no harm. In fact, we want to help him with his work.
Well, you're going about it in an awfully funny way.
You'd better rest a bit. Grandma was stronger than we thought. We'll talk more later.
Yes, I have done a lot of work with twins. I'm very flattered you remember.
Well, I've read about similar brainwaves in twins, but as far as mental telepathy is concerned, I'm still not sold.
We've done some amazing work with telepathy with twins. In fact, one case in particular I remember.
What about them?
Well, their record, it was so perfect. We knew it could only be the work of trickery.
You mean no misses?
It was almost as if they were one mind, one person. Well, did I finally say something that made sense to you?
Yes. Something that an oracle said to me recently about 2 persons, but really 1 person. Tell me more about these twins.
Well, they were very mature for their age. They were 10, but they seemed much more like 15 or 16.
How long ago was this?
About 2 years ago. They'd be 12 now. Oh, I seem to have hit another nerve.
Yes. Something else the Oracle said about children, but not really children. Would you still have their address on file?
Oh, I'm sure we do. They had no parents, as I recall. They lived with their grandmother.
We apologize for the restraint, Colonel Austin, but you didn't seem that cooperative.
You are not being harmed. We're merely opening a telepathic channel to your mind.
I thought you two were natural telepaths.
Only between each other.
You must bring Dr. Brenner to us. It's a matter of life and death.
You have all his notes. Why do you need him?
As we said before, the notes are in code.
The formulas you took from the OSI vaults.
The early half of his work. We must have his latest experiments.
But he's 50 years from positive results.
But we can accelerate that. Working from the start that he's already made, in perhaps 2 or 3 years, we'll be able to totally arrest cell deterioration.
What makes you think you can do it that much faster?
We're freaks, Colonel Austin. Many twins have brains that are perfectly in tune with each other.
The brain waves are identical. Information flows freely.
When we were born, our togetherness went a bit beyond that. We literally have one brain between the two of us.
Each of our brains, by itself, is the equivalent of the normal superior brain.
Together, we share a single brain having twice the capacities, twice the abilities of the finest brain on this earth.
Why didn't you just offer your help to Dr. Brenner?
Because in this country, the prejudice against experiments involving human beings is almost insurmountable.
Brenner uses animals in his experiments. That is why it will take 50 years to produce results.
You'll use humans.
Not here, but there are countries where we'll be permitted to experiment with human beings. 5,000, 10,000 subjects, the number is almost limitless. And in 2 or 3 years, the work will be complete.
What about the 10,000 victims of your experiments?
I'm afraid that's sentimental nonsense, Colonel Austin. That's the kind of thinking that's held up scientific progress for hundreds of years.
You should be thinking of the hundreds of millions of people we will be saving from a short, stingy life.
Why is this so desperately important to you? I mean, you're both so young.
Yes, but do you have any idea how young?
28, 30 at the most.
We are 12 years old, Colonel Austin.
I don't believe it.
Our minds are able to function at a geometrically faster rate than that of the average person. In payment for this,
We are aging at a rate that is geometrically faster than normal. In 10 years, we'll be the equivalent of 65, and in 15, we'll both be dead.
I think his mind is open to us now. We'll run some tests.
Star. Circle. Cross. Square. Star. Cross. Wavy line. Cross. Circle.
17 hits out of 25. Fantastic. But not good enough.
Chart shows only 8 hits.
You tried lying on 9. Deliberately missed. We have a polygraph wired to the computer. I'm sorry, Colonel Austin, but we need perfection. Another 45 minutes, and I would say he will score 25 out of 25.
You're turning me into a zombie.
Not at all. You have perfect free will, except for certain nonverbal instructions from us.
And once you deliver Dr. Brenner to us, you will be free to go on your own way.
The file had disappeared from OSI headquarters. You did it, didn't you?
Yes?
How?
By a perfectly natural means. In its simplest form, you might say we transferred it from there to here.
In much the same way that a picture is taken out of the air and transferred into your living room as television.
Or sound is picked up and sent into your home, reorganized into its original components and called radio.
How can ink be reorganized and then reconstructed?
You know about the molecular memory of plastic, how it will return to its original shape if freed. We did somewhat the same thing with the ink. We taught it molecular memory.
And it had no choice but to reform to its original shape.
Pardon me, Mrs. Wagner?
Yes. Why, you must be the doctor.
One of the children is ill?
Oh, dear, no. It's the young man who came to play with them.
Ah, yes, of course.
Well, he fell down just like that. They told me it was sunstroke, but it doesn't seem warm enough for that, does it?
Mrs. Wagner, what did this young man look like?
Well, he was tall, fair, light brown hair, and he was wearing a blue denim jacket.
Excuse me, Mrs. Wagner, I'd best be getting to see my patient.
Yes, go right on in, doctor. The door's open.
Thank you.
Won't do you any good. Those things cover a wide range.
Hey, hold it! I'm Dr. Murdoch. Mrs. Wagner said there's an injured man up here. Hold it!
Hold it just right there. No one called a doctor.
It's a pretty good rope escape. You'll have to show me that sometime. This the Wagner twins? Did you know they were only 12?
So they say.
Think we can handle them?
I would think so.
Like taking candy from a baby.
I'm afraid, sir, that you're a bit outnumbered. 3-to-1 odds are hardly fair. Congratulations, Colonel Austin. I'm not quite sure how you got away from us, but that was very good.
Well, I guess we call the police now.
Yes, do that. But hadn't you first better consider the charges?
Theft of government documents.
Theft of ink, really. Do you think a jury will buy that?
Kidnapping.
You were trespassing, Colonel Austin. As householders, we had a right to defend ourselves.
Well, assault with intent to commit great bodily harm.
Do you really want to send that sweet, harmless woman to prison?
Well, I'm sure the DA will think of something, Miss Wagner.
You were almost a candidate for an assault charge yourself. What made you decide not to clobber me?
I had a strange hallucination there for a moment. At least I hope it was a hallucination. Did you talk to her?
She wasn't at the theater, Steve.
Why'd she close?
She's never played there.
Sure she did. I talked to her in the dressing room. I mean, her name was on the marquee. I even had a poster of her.
Have you got the poster?
No, I threw it away. Did you talk to the manager?
I did. He's been booking musical acts there for the past 15 years. He doesn't recall a mentalist ever playing there. And he's been with that theater for 37 years.